This podcast is brought to you by Directv Stream. Does this sound familiar? You got one device lets you catch the game live, another lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment you love without the hassle. It's called Directv Stream, and it brings you your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part? There's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with Directv Stream. You can learn more at directv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
What's up? Welcome into the Olympic Curling post-game show. I'm Adam.
Wait, what happened? Is it over?
I'm Adam Hoge. He's Adam Jahns. Kevin Fishbane is in mourning. Today is the
Clearly, I have no idea what happened. So please inform me.
That's because you are a terrible American.
I am not.
Which we've established that before, I think, with your communism comments.
I'm never going to live that down.
No, you're not.
Never.
Yeah, Kevin having a tough morning as the USA went down to Great Britain in the semifinals. And then Canada lost to Sweden. So my two teams that I care about, both they'll play each other in the bronze medal game.
Admittedly, like I am a big Olympics guy. I always enjoy it. But this year just feels different. I have not gotten into it whatsoever. I don't know if it's the time difference, the lack of fans at some events, but I don't feel drawn to it as I usually do every 4 years.
I think the overlap with the Super Bowl hurt. That's never happened before. And the fact that NBC, I don't know if it's never happened before. I probably shouldn't say that. But the fact that NBC had the Super Bowl and the Olympics at the same time, it just, I don't know. There is something kind of, and also the Summer Olympics were just like 6 months ago. So usually you like get that build up, but because the Summer Olympics got pushed back, it's just like bang, bang here. And I get it. I'll admit, I've mostly been just watching the curling. That's pretty much it.
And I'm usually drawn to the hockey, but the NHL players are playing, so
although
it's not really the best of the best.
Canada USA women's hockey gold medal game was overnight, but that's another thing. Like I started watching. It started like at 10:30, and then I just like after the first period, I'm like, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
So Canada won that one. So yeah,
it's a bummer actually.
But there's your curling update.
Anyway, who cares?
I wanted Kevin on today, but he keeps ducking us, and that's fine.
He's still on vacation.
He's on vacation. His vacation is watching curling nonstop. Can we just
be
clear?
We should do actual curling though one time.
Oh yeah.
Forget just talking about it and watching it. Let's go actually curl.
We can go do it.
I'm serious.
We have members of the curling club that listen to this podcast. I'm sure they'll have us out.
I'm in. Don't take my mockery as some type of insult of your sport. I want to try it.
You will get hooked. I promise you.
I view it as like just gigantic shuffleboard.
Fine, but I mean
But I get to slide.
Yeah, it's way better than shuffleboard. And then when it's all over, you get to drink. I mean, there's really.
Can I drink during it like shuffleboard?
Technically, they don't allow the drinks on the ice for obvious reasons, because then you get a spill and then you got a problem on the ice. But I'd be lying if every once in a while I've seen a beer like over in the corner.
Yeah.
Just be very, very careful about it.
It's like playing pool. You're not putting the beer.
But as soon as it's over, you just go
table.
drink. And there's a bar there, and it's fun.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah, see,
set it up. I'm in.
There's really nothing to debate with it. It's fantastic. But yeah, unfortunately, the U.S. will not be backing up their gold medal, and I don't know. When this is all over, I am going to count up the amount of text messages I've received from Kevin Fishbane during the Olympics.
Oh, he is. What did I use?
Prolific texter, I think.
Prolific texter
is how you put it. Yeah. Anyway, welcome in Adam Hoge, Adam Jahns. You follow us on Twitter at Adam Hoge, at Adam Jahns. Read me at NBCSportsChicago.com. Johnsy's on The Athletic, theathletic.com/Hoge Jahns, where you could go read Kevin Fishbane's outstanding curling story on the U.S. men's team that he did. It is worth checking out still, so you can check that out there on The Athletic. You can find us on YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube, rocking some gear that you can get from obviousshirts.com. Johnsy's got the JD sweatshirt on today. I'm wearing one of our the collaborating since 2015. Does this shirt still apply? We've still been collaborating since 2015.
Definitely.
Even though Ryan Pace is gone. Yeah, that's what it's about anyway. In no way, shape, or form did it have any type of relation to Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy talking about collaboration. No way. Why we would never do that.
No. Definitely.
This is just us collaborating on this podcast since 2015.
Still
which
going
is accurate.
strong.
Still going strong. Today, as we jump into, really not, this one feels like we're in the off season, right? Combine's coming up in a couple of weeks. We will be there. There's actual Radio Row at the Combine. Producer Kent will be there. We'll have a good episode for you guys in Indy in a couple of weeks. But until then, we bridge the gap a little bit, and we ask for your questions. Little Q&A, which we haven't done in a long time. Looking forward to this. And there's plenty to get to as we went from the season ending to the coaching search, the GM search, then right into Super Bowl content. And now it's like, free agency's in less than a month now.
It's a pretty big offseason for Ryan Poles.
They don't get a whole lot of time to evaluate their roster, figure out what they want to do here. So they better figure it out.
Well, what you have still is a lot of staff members, some holdovers from the Ryan Pace regime doing the scouting. It always works out this way, where a lot of the scouts' contracts are different. They're like after the player acquisition period, if you want to call it that. So that's where we're at. Want to dive into these questions?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. This is from Oren German on Twitter. All these questions are coming from Twitter. And can I give everybody a round of applause for actually understanding what I meant? I put this on Twitter. Tomorrow's episode of Hoge Jahns. Send over your questions. I didn't say it was a Q&A, but I think most people understood it because I sent it out.
Someone sent a photoshopped image of the three of us curling. Did you see that?
No.
You need to go look at this right now.
Hold on.
It's on my Twitter feed.
On your Twitter feed?
If you scroll down like 5 or 6 tweets.
All right. Everybody's going to hold up on this podcast. Why go to Animal's Twitter right now?
Let's see. Peyton Legal is the one who tweeted it at us.
Did you retweet it?
Yeah. That's where you'll find it. And it's the USA Olympic curling team, but our head's photoshopped.
I like that.
Nice tattoos on you. You got a nice sleeve going there.
Yeah, that is nice. Look at my shoes. I like that. I'm going to retweet that as well.
Kevin's got the broadest shoulders ever.
Which is not true.
Definitely not accurate. I'm the only one where my body feels like it actually kind of matches.
Lies?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fun. Anyway.
Yeah.
From Oren on Twitter. It's a bit of an open-ended question. What will the Bears free agency moves tell you about Poles' team building strategy moving forward?
Wait, can you say that again?
Were you paying attention?
No, you're like really quiet for some reason. Let's project our voices here. Let's go.
All right. It's a bit... It's a bit of an open-ended question. What will the Bears' free agency moves tell you about Poles' team building strategy moving forward?
Well, yeah, that is a broad question. That's about as general as it gets. I think we'll get an idea how aggressive he'll be. I always go back to Ryan Pace's first few years. He was very careful about staying out of that A list of free agents, the guys that you almost always overpay for. Even Pernell McPhee, which was I think his first big signing, was more of the B, that second wave. If I remember that right. Now, turned out he probably overpaid for that one too a little bit. But
Pace would explore them.
Yeah.
Like Stephon Gilmore, AJ Bowie, guys who got big contracts. Gilmore was probably worth it, but Bowie wasn't. You always overpay in the cornerback market.
You can explore them all you want. Even last year with Trent Williams, right? You can explore all you want. pull the trigger.
Yeah.
It comes down to money. You write the biggest offer, you get the big fish. I mean, that's how it works. Now, I'm not necessarily saying they should do that with every specific case. I'm just saying, when you ask that question, I think we'll get an idea how aggressive he'll be.
He is quoted as saying that he prefers to target the second and third waves of free agency, looking for players to prove, which is actually quite similar to Ryan Pace's approach.
Everything he said,
here.
Yeah, everything he said follows what Ryan Pace said, and for the most part did, with some obvious exceptions. But like every GM says, they value building through the draft, and then Ryan Pace ended up trading a lot of draft capital over the years. Right. So that's where it's like, it's a good question because let's see what the actions are. Right. That's where we really learn about these guys.
Or you could take the less Snead approach. Less Snead. F them picks. Even though that's not entirely true, as we explained in the last podcast.
Less Snead draft picks.
Maybe that just applies to first rounders for the Rams GM. Next question. Oh, he actually has 2 questions here, Oren. Is there a good chance the Bears head to Europe next season for a game? A beer in Munich seems nice. Absolutely it does. 100% it does.
It does, except like I don't you think when the NFL came out and split up these countries like it was a game of Risk?
That's a great way to put it.
Like you get the UK, you get Spain, you get Germany. I don't remember the exact teams that were in Germany.
Who did the Bears get? The Bears got
they got the UK and Spain.
Well, I go to Spain.
Yeah.
And as everybody knows who listens to this podcast, I want another run in England. I deserve it.
Well, just, don't get sick this time.
That's true.
That's on you.
That bug went through my house already this year, so.
Yeah, you guys got some bug problems.
Kids,
exterminator.
Kids.
All
right.
But my point is, don't you think they're going to put the Germany teams in Germany? Like, isn't that the whole point of that?
So I actually forgot about that.
Yeah,
maybe London. Disappointed.
Maybe London's a possibility again.
I'm in.
But the only thing is, the Bears would be giving up a home game then, because I don't think they could give up a road game this year because they have the extra home game. I think the way they're going to be doing this going forward is those international games are going to replace the extra home game, right? I think we're eventually going to get to a world, I don't know how long it's going to take, where instead of having extra home games, everybody plays an international game every year. And that's going to take up that odd, the odd extra game. The 17th game will just be, and then you'll go back to playing 8 road, 8 even. It'll make the whole schedule more even.
That strikes me as inevitable.
Yeah.
Like Thanos. Clients demand an instant response, but now more than ever, businesses are spread thin. If you're losing leads from visitors to your website or missing calls that could grow your business, you need to delegate those frontline conversations to the best virtual receptionist service, Smith AI. Smith AI provides businesses with award-winning virtual receptionists who handle your calls, chats, and texts to unlock new business at a fraction of the cost of hiring in-house staff. Smith AI is not your average receptionist service. Work uninterrupted, run your business with less stress, and get more leads from your marketing efforts. Smith AI pays for itself and then some. With all new clients, the receptionists help you win. Never miss another lead. Boost revenue, increase your focus at work, and keep your staffing costs down. It's as simple as forwarding your calls to Smith AI. Plans start at just $240 a month. And our listeners will save $100 when you sign up using our promo code ADAM at smith.ai. Visit smith.ai to lead 5-star reviews and be sure to use our code ADAM. That's ADAM to save $100 at sign up. Don't let another day go by. Try Smith AI. It's a new year, but it's feeling harder than ever to find and hire the qualified people you need, especially for small businesses. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. They make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 770 million people. Focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience and use screening questions to get your role in front of only the most qualified. Then use the simple tools on LinkedIn Jobs to quickly filter and prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Adam. That's linkedin.com/Adam to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Anyway, let's move on. This is from Corey on Twitter. With the number of talented young QBs in the AFC, do you really think Aaron Rodgers wants to go to Denver and battle his way through Cincinnati, Baltimore, Kansas City, the Los Angeles Chargers, New England Patriots, Buffalo Bills, and the Jaguars to get to the Super Bowl? Our thoughts.
Yeah, I've heard this topic come up a little bit. I think it's a fair question. I don't know. I first of all, nobody can get inside Aaron Rodgers' head right now. Not even Shailene Woodley. R.I.P. to that relationship.
Breakup.
Yeah, that was... Who saw that coming? Speaking of it, inevitable.
That's not cliche talk. That's real talk.
I don't know. Like, Denver does seem like a logical landing spot. I think the Broncos clearly want him. I think that they wanted him last year. I think they want him now. I think they're trying as hard as they possibly can. But yeah, that's a tough division. You have Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Derek Carr's a good player. I like Derek Carr still.
Big payday coming to Derek Carr. Wait, here's the thing. All right, Aaron Rodgers, you're the GOAT. You think you're the best quarterback of all time? Then go F and prove it.
Yeah. See, what I wonder is, I don't know how bitter he still is at the San Francisco 49ers, the team he grew up rooting for. But, like, to me, that would make the most sense for him. Especially because that's the team he can't beat in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Can't beat them, join them. Can I throw out, maybe this is just if I had to make a bold prediction right now, like the boldest of all bold predictions, I think Tom Brady's playing for the 49ers next year. I don't believe he's retiring at all.
Neither do I.
I wonder if this is
though.
What's that?
Strikes me as a year off option for him, though.
Maybe. But I think if you're the 49ers, you have to figure out, you either have to say, all right, we're having Trey Lance sit another year, or I guess what I'm trying to say is, if Tom Brady's end goal is to go play for the 49ers, which I think he probably has some more sentimental feelings towards the 49ers as his hometown team, probably more so than Aaron Rodgers does, because they've passed on Aaron Rodgers. I guess technically the 49ers passed on Brady, but everybody passed on Brady. It's a little bit of a different situation. Rodgers should have been the number 1 overall pick, without the benefit of hindsight. Like, he should have been that year instead of Alex Smith. So if you don't do it now, if you're Tom Brady, like, I'm just not sure that option is going to be there a year from now. Because I think at that point you either pivot to Rodgers or you say, all right, Trey Lance, you're our guy, and go do it.
I think ego is a factor here. Not for Tom Brady, but for Aaron Rodgers.
No.
It has to be. Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers and his ego?
If you're him, you're looking in the mirror today, tomorrow, whenever, and you're telling yourself, you just watch Matthew Stafford leave the Detroit Lions and win a Super Bowl for the Rams. You have the same number of Super Bowl victories as Brad Johnson, Joe Flacco. Who else can I throw in there? Trent Dilfer.
Mm-hmm. Can I just say that I don't think that those situations are apples to apples, though. Like, Stafford never had what he needed to win, even when he had Calvin Johnson. Like, there were just too many other problems. They didn't have the defense, or Rodgers, how many opportunities has this guy had? Like, you can't blame other things for them losing. I know he wants to, but he's had the chances. He's been there. How many cracks has he had at the NFC Championship game?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a good point. So if you're ranking the reasons the Packers failed this year in the postseason, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is number one, right? Especially in the NFC Championship game?
Right, because especially like as much as I harp on the special teams and said that was going to end up costing them, your quarterback should have gotten you. You should have been.
What, they scored 10 points?
Yeah, right, exactly. They should have been in a position where that wasn't the difference in the game.
A California team came in and beat you in the cold, and you scored 10 points.
And it's not the first time. They're 7-7 in their last 14 home games in the playoffs. Which
maybe he wants to play somewhere warmer.
Is a statistic that I think the Bears should pay attention to when they talk about their new stadium and whether or not how important bear weather is. Doesn't matter. Put the roof on. But to answer your question, if I were Rodgers, I would rather go to the 49ers with a clearer path in the and that's a tough division too, but a clearer path in the NFC than the AFC.
Secondary question to that point. Say that happens. Say Tom Brady even does it. What does that tell you about the 49ers' evaluation of Trey Lance? Does he enter Jordan Love territory of Hoge Jahns evaluations?
Not for me personally yet. I like Trey Lance.
I mean, if they do that, though, that is an indictment on their development of him, is it not?
It is, but it's...
Instead of having a young quarterback on a rookie contract and you just getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo and all his money, you're now bringing in another high-priced free agent to get you over the hump.
Okay.
You're not going to try to win on that rookie contract.
No, I understand, but let me put it this way. Let's say that Justin Fields, let's say it's the 49ers roster with Justin Fields right now instead of Trey Lance, okay? Would you feel better about your chances of winning the Super Bowl in 2022, this coming season, with Justin Fields as your quarterback or Aaron Rodgers?
Well, Aaron Rodgers, but you just...
But that's the point.
But you just drafted Trey Lance with like the third overall pick.
I understand that, but they're trying to win right now. So like I know everybody wants to cast this aside like, oh, well, Trey Lance must suck if he's not playing. And he might. I don't know that. But what I'm saying is their roster is they feel like they are ready to make a run at the Super Bowl now. Like right now, can they afford to go through a developmental season? And you go, then maybe you shouldn't have drafted them.
Yeah, again, yeah. You didn't feel that way before the season, before it began? I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo just brought you the NFC Championship game.
No, I think they did, but they just were kind of stuck. You know, they couldn't do what they wanted to do with Garoppolo, and Trey Lance was there, and they liked him. Let's not forget, like there was a lot of talk that they wanted Mac Jones instead of Trey Lance. So, but yeah, this quarterback stuff's going to be very, very, very interesting in the offseason.
Yeah, I should also clarify my comments from earlier. The Packers did not make the NFC Championship.
No.
That was the divisional round. Divisional round. Sorry. Let me enunciate. Divisional round.
Feels like they should have been in the championship game, but they were not. No, that was the Rams and the 49ers.
All right. From everything is awesome with an exclamation point, Adam. Do you think Poles thinks they can win now? Or is he going to burn this thing down to the ground and start over?
I mean, I don't see the logic in burning things to the ground. I don't think you have to. I don't think there's any need to. You know, even when Ryan Pace had to do that, that was more about the fact that there wasn't much left on the roster and the pieces that were on offense needed to be moved out for culture reasons. So, I mean, I think what Ryan Poles is inheriting are some pieces and very few culture problems.
I would strongly argue that he's been left a lot more than Ryan Pace was left from Phil Emery.
Oh, yeah. I don't even think it's close.
No, you could debate things about the offensive line. You could absolutely debate those things. But Roquan Smith, heck, if Justin Fields turns out to be a good quarterback, Ryan Poles didn't draft Justin Fields. Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy did. Now, they didn't exactly put the best plan for him in place for his rookie year, but that's That's the reality. That's fact.
Yeah, and like you can even look at it by position group. Like even if you were to like, oh, he might burn down the offensive line and rebuild that. It's like maybe most of it, but even there, it's like you're not going to just kick Tevin Jenkins and Larry Borum out the door. You at least want to see what you have there. That would be one position group where if all of a sudden he was like, all right, Jason Peters is gone, we're going to let James Daniels walk. Maybe he can help get us a comp pick, depending on how much somebody's willing to pay for him. And then he may look – Cody Whitehair did not have a great season last year. So he may look at that tape and be like – and I haven't really looked at Cody's contract specifically, but he signed that extension a few years ago, so I'm assuming there's a way to get out of that if he really wanted to. And he may say Sam Mustipher is just not good enough. He's been fine, not good enough. We can do better. So that could be a spot where maybe you end up moving Larry Borum inside. Like you could have 5 new starters. If I had to pick like one position group where we're talking about a complete rebuild this offseason, maybe it's that one.
But at least 2 of those starters are potentially on the roster right now.
Yeah.
So that doesn't exactly qualify as let's burn it down. Does it? I don't know,
but that would be a pretty big, quick rebuild. But something he has experience doing. He did in Kansas City last year.
And it has to happen, in my opinion, if you want that tenacity, that aggressiveness, that different mindset that clearly doesn't exist currently with the current 5 they have.
But otherwise, you look at the rest of the roster, wide receiver. Like you're probably going to end up having a big overhaul wide receiver, but Darnell Mooney's still there, right? Tight end. Cole Kmet's not going anywhere.
Well, how about
running
this?
back? Running back, you're set. I don't think you even need to do much at running back.
If you're Matt Eberflus in the first year of installing this hits philosophy, this low grading system, and you have Roquan Smith as your leader, that's a great starting point.
Yeah, really.
That's a great starting point. You know what? I bet you he's even happy to have an Eddie Jackson.
Yeah.
Like Eddie Jackson would seem to be like player number 1 who could benefit from some type of grading system that determines if you're loafing or not.
That's a good point.
He needs to be challenged in that capacity, I would argue.
I also think he can work just fine in the scheme, too. So now on the defensive side, like same thing, like corners, you could overhaul the corners, but you got Jalen Johnson. He's not going anywhere. The D line maybe is a spot where you could have completely new bodies, because same thing on the offensive line. Like you could look at like what's Eddie Goldman's situation. First of all, seems like more of a 3-4 nose tackle, and questions about how much he loves football anymore, rumors about retirement, things like that. They may say, okay, we're good. Akeem Hicks, hard to depend on him for a full season at this point. Let him go. They may look at Bilal Nichols, who's a free agent, say, not a 3 technique. Sorry. He's gone. Angelo Blackson was probably only here for like a year anyway. He's gone. You start going down that list, that could be a spot where all of a sudden that's the over. So I don't think it's a full roster rebuild. Linemen, though, I think is where I would look at. If we're trying to rebuild one thing, if I'm Ryan Poles, that's what I'm looking at. Rebuild the trenches.
I would phrase it as a reinvestment, because the Bears have invested in those areas. You can, okay, maybe not as much the offensive line as the defensive line. But again, if you're Matt Eberflus and for year 1 of your defense, you get to start off with Khalil Mack, albeit coming off injury reserve, and Robert Quinn, that's not a bad starting point. It's really not. I know their age is a concern. I know durability is a concern. Whatever. On paper, those are 2 pretty good defensive ends to start with when you're in terms of overhauling your defensive system.
I think we haven't won enough under the leadership of George McCaskey, and that's what we're working on.
This, I'm not even going to try to Sambino. I did not say that right, I'm sure. But this is also a question on Twitter. What's your ideal wide receiver room looking like going into opening day?
That question don't make no sense.
One that they have better players who can get open more.
Players who hate hitch routes. I would phrase it this way. That position can be overhauled quickly. I would like to see, you have Darnell Mooney.
Yep.
I would add at least, you have Daz Newsome, a 6th-round pick from last year. I think you need at least two free agent signings and 1 draft pick in there.
Yes.
Now, how much money is spent, I don't know. But I'm talking about not just some 1-year flyer. Maybe give someone a 2-year deal. A Taylor Gabriel-like signing.
Yeah.
Have you?
All right. Draft-wise, let's get this on the table right now. All right? Because I've seen a couple things that have really, really surprised me. Okay? In my opinion, Chris Olave is a slam dunk first-round pick. Don't screw around with this. And yet I keep seeing draft boards from people I respect, mock drafts from people I respect that have him going in the 2nd round. If he is available to the Bears, what is their? I just wrote the mock draft. I should know. It's number 39, right? Is the Bears pick?
Yeah.
If he is there, you run up there and draft him. I mean, he has just been such a good wide receiver at Ohio State. He already has the chemistry to Justin Fields. I don't know that he's as good as Jamar Chase when people start throwing out Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow type situations, but I do think it would be a slam dunk home run pick for the Bears right away. Also, if he's not there, in my opinion, David Bell from Purdue is at least a slam dunk 2nd round pick, if not a late 1st round pick, okay, where he should go. And then I see draft Dane Brugler, who we love on this podcast, and you'll hear a lot from him. Dane Brugler has him on his top 100 draft board back towards where the Bears are picking in the 3rd round, which is partially why I put him as my 3rd round pick in my mock draft the other day. Because I respect opinions like that. And if Dane Brugler thinks he's more, then maybe that's where he'll end up. Maybe he'll be available to the Bears in the 3rd round. Personally, I think he's better than that. I'd take him in the 2nd round. But those are a couple guys that, and I know I harp on this all the time and sound like a broken record, but I just value wide receivers who know how to run routes and get open. Like, they can run the fastest route, whatever, their 40 time, and maybe those guys will fall back at the combine for not running the fastest. Good for the Bears. It's Terry McLaurin all over again, who, if you go back to the year Terry McLaurin came out, I kept trying to tell you guys, this dude just is open and catches footballs at Ohio State all the time. Don't overthink it. So if we're talking draft, those are 2 guys I know very well from the Big Ten. Go back and watch the Northwestern Purdue tape from 2020, the COVID year, when Greg Newsome, who went in the 1st round last year to the Browns and had a great rookie season, was going up against David Bell at Purdue. That was an outstanding one-on-one matchup the entire game. And both of those guys in that game cemented themselves as NFL players to me.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Hoge, but I think the 2 of the most exciting playmakers of this past season, including the Super Bowl MVP, were drafted outside the 1st round. Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel was 36th overall pick for the 49ers. I forget the exact selection of Kupp. Was he a late second or 3rd rounder? I forget, but it was not first round.
I think it was 2nd because the Bears picked Adam Shaheen.
Is that the year?
Yeah, it's the Adam Shaheen.
Oh, hold on. What a waste of time training camp was, guys. It's a good clip. All right. Ready. This is from Ryan Cox on Twitter. Rank the following position groups in terms of need. Write this down, Adam.
Okay.
Corner, safety, wide receiver, offensive line.
Offensive line, corner, wide receiver, safety.
Say that again.
Offensive line, corner, wide receiver, safety. But I would bunch those 3, the first 3 I said, towards the top. I think there's a little bit more of a gap towards safety.
Yes. I thought it was pretty interesting when we talked to Ryan Poles and he's listing positions in order of importance, in order of, he called it, what's the best way to put it? Just in terms of market value and the amount of them, like quarterbacks number 1, offensive tackles number 2. He did not list receiver. I think Ryan Poles subscribes to the Ryan Pace philosophy here in terms of this is a position that can be overhauled quite quickly, but I still think it's a premier position that needs to be seriously addressed by the Bears this year. You can't just go out there thinking Darnell Mooney is going to be your number 1 wide receiver.
Yep.
You got to try to upgrade for the reasons, and some of the guys that you just cited, maybe the second round of the draft.
Look at the final 4 teams, and even you can go beyond that to the divisional round. Like, those teams all have a dude at wideout. Not a Darnell Mooney. I like Darnell Mooney. I'm talking dude. Okay, Cooper Kupp. You mentioned Jamar Chase on the Bengals, who made a huge difference. Okay, and then we go to the next round. Obviously, the weapons that the Chiefs have, Tyreek Hill. Okay, they all have that guy. Deebo Samuel, who you brought up on the 49ers. Then you start going to the Packers. They have Devontae Adams. Like, you have to have at least one of those guys. That's why I don't think it's... Like, if you add one big free agent and you land somebody like Chris Olave or David Bell, who I think can have an impact right away. And there's some other wideouts in there, by the way, that I just got to do a little bit more homework on. But the second round seems to be ripe with some good players who can play pretty early on. 2 guys make a difference when you already have Darnell Mooney on the team. I'm good with that then.
Cooper Kupp, 69th overall pick.
Nice. Our next partner of the Hoge Jahns podcast is a really cool product. Let's talk about Athletic Greens. If you're looking to get better gut health, more energy, or a stronger immune system in a really easy, natural way, you've got to check out Athletic Greens. And I'm sure you'll all agree that most of us are not huge fans of having to take a bunch of pills or vitamins in the morning. But with Athletic Greens, you can get rid of all those extra vitamin bottles and finally make some room in your cabinet. Athletic Greens is an all-in-one solution that actually tastes good. You'll really enjoy getting your daily vitamins. So what is this stuff? Well, with one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all those things. Just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Adams. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Adams to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Hey, is your company or business having a tough time hiring the people you need? Doesn't matter what you're doing. It could be a coffee shop, retail, corporate. If you can't keep up with hiring, Workable helps all types of companies. There are 46% more jobs being posted than before the pandemic, and there are 44% fewer candidates applying to each one. So you need to find the right candidates and hire them fast, and Workable can help. Workable accelerates every step of your hiring process from finding to hiring. Workable helps you cast the widest net possible by posting your jobs to all the top job boards, more than 200 total with just one click. Whether you're hiring for your coffee shop or your engineering team, Workable is exactly what you need to hire the right people fast. Start hiring today with a risk-free 15-day trial. If you hire during that trial, which many do, it won't cost a thing. Just go to workable.com to start hiring. Workable is hiring made easy.
Let's continue. Oh, I lost my spot here. Let's do a couple more. This is from Shane on Twitter. What linebacker position will Roquan play in Coach Flus's defense?
I think it'll be the will, but they haven't confirmed that yet.
He's just not going to leave the field.
Well, regardless, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if he's not the Mike, even if he's the Will, he could call the defense. He's not leaving the field.
But that's why if that's the case, I just don't want to underrate, to me at least, the need to have a really good Mike linebacker next to him. Can Alec Ogletree do that if you bring him back? Maybe, but if you go, by the way, my Bears mock draft is on NBCSportsChicago.com if you want to find it. But Chad Muma, the Wyoming linebacker, who really, he had a great Senior Bowl. He looks like he could be in range for that number 39 overall pick in the second round. To me, looks like a prototypical Mike. You just solved that problem for a long time, in my opinion. You give Roquan the money he deserves. Draft just like a prototypical good Mike linebacker in the second round. It may not be at the top of the list of needs, but Bears fans know very well what that can do to the defense. To have those two guys locked in, just like they were for Lovie Smith, I think it makes a huge difference.
Next question.
Next question.
This is from Chris.
What else? Go ahead, I'm listening.
Chris on Twitter. How excited is Adam Hoge about the long snapper and punter signings today or yesterday? Competition at every level.
Yeah.
Laughing face emoji with the tears.
So excited I didn't even tweet about it. No, it is interesting though, because both of those guys are free agents. And Richard Hightower, a lot of times that you got to understand with special teams coaches, like that's where some of these moves come from. So I don't know, Hightower was the year Winslow was here, Ryan Winslow, the punter they signed, the year that Hightower was here? Because he was here that one. I want to say it was 2016.
I'll have to go back and check.
I want to say Winslow was here in 18. It was just during training camp. Here's the thing about Pat O'Donnell. Pat O'Donnell's been a very solid, consistent punter for the Bears for a long time, but he's never been at the top. Even this year, the Bears were in the 20s in net punting. So they may be looking at that as competition. They may be looking at that as insurance if they can't re-sign those guys, right? That could be just what it is too. Maybe they want to re-sign them. They just can't guarantee it. So, but this is what happens sometimes when you change special teams coordinators. And if there is, and I've already talked about this a little bit on the podcast, if there's one area where I'm a little bit critical of what's happened so far, I just think that I'd feel much better about all that if they had managed to keep Chris Tabor. Just the consistency. We've seen the Bears special teams go down the wrong road with coaching searches before. Coaching changes, I should say. And just the fact that there's been consistency there the last couple of years, it's just a little bit of a concern.
Well, with all due respect to Hightower, too, I just think in general, lateral moves, especially coach leaving a playoff team, are always a bit curious, are they not?
Yeah. It's not like he got a promotion.
Like, why didn't they want to keep him? After what he did to the Packers in the playoffs, right? Like,
I would say
am I wrong? Is that not fair?
No, it's 100% fair, and to the point that I would say that the Packers did that to the Packers. I don't even know that the 49ers did that to the Packers. Well,
they fired their special teams coach too.
I mean, Richard Hightower's getting a lot of credit for that playoff game, and it's like, Bears fans should know better because they watched what happened at Lambeau when the Bears dominated the Packers on special teams that entire game. Which goes back to the point we made earlier about Rodgers. Rodgers made that not matter because he was Aaron Rodgers that day. So that game there should also show you why Rodgers has to take some of the blame for that playoff game, because it came down to special teams. As good as they were, it shouldn't have come down to special teams.
My first thought when I saw those signings is, well, it's February, who cares really? But but the other part was, I wonder if there's some concern that O'Donnell and Scales are going somewhere else and you just want to have somebody in the system.
Yeah.
Pat O'Donnell's been here since, 2014?
Yep, that's
Phil
when he
Emery
was drafted.
selection. I just looked up his page on Spotrac. Actually, if you look up Pat O'Donnell's page on Spotrac, that picture of him is not him.
Really?
Yeah.
He hasn't earned that respect yet.
If you're listening, go check it out, because that is definitely not Pat O'Donnell. But he is a free agent. His base salary this year was $1.75 million. The dude's probably looking for a raise.
Yeah.
And he might get it.
He might. I mean, he's been a starting punter in the league for a really long time. Those guys usually don't come loose too often.
What question are you asking me?
All right, last one. This is from Chicago Winter Appreciator. Come on.
Ugh.
Snowstorms coming in here. With so much of the A-Rob, Allen Robinson Bears tension seemingly stemming from the old Pace Nagy regime, does a change in the general manager head coach make bringing him back more realistic? Or has the ship sailed regardless?
This is the best question we've gotten. If you had to ask me what happens here, right now, I think Allen Robinson's probably playing on a different team. Okay. But did you see that exchange that happened on Twitter the other day?
Is that the one that Anthony Miller also jumped into?
If he did, I missed the Anthony Miller part. But somebody tweeted that basically this idea that the Bears sabotaged Allen Robinson, there's no way it could be accurate. And A-Rob responded simply with his target numbers over the last 3 seasons and how they dipped from like whatever they were in the hundreds, 150, and all the way down to 66. Those were all he put were the numbers, and you had to kind of figure out what that meant, but those were his targets over the last 3 seasons. So regardless of whether or not he was actually sabotaged or there was an intent to sabotage him, which I agree with the original premise, doesn't make much sense. You're going to give him the franchise tag and a ton of money and then not give him the ball. Don't understand that. A lot of things happened last season, though, that are hard to understand. Allen Robinson at least feels that way by responding that way on Twitter. I think that's pretty obvious with that response. Or at least is unhappy enough that they're to bring that up.
Well, he shared a similar story as to the one that we had in our athletic story about Matt Nagy and Mitch Trubisky. Where Mitch Trubisky showed up to a meeting for Matt Nagy, and Matt Nagy wasn't there. Eventually left his notes. Allen Robinson was expecting to have, according to Allen Robinson, this is a story he shared, I think, on his podcast somewhere. I forget where.
He did an interview, yeah.
Where he expected to have and waited for his exit interview with Matt Nagy. This was before this season. So coming off of the 2020 season. It never happened. Not only did it not happen, he didn't hear from his head coach for a long time.
Basically the whole offseason.
Yes. And this is a head coach who often cited their close relationship in interviews. Did he not?
Yes, and then it just stopped, apparently.
Yes.
I think A-Rob even made a comment. Like, they did talk all the time, and then all of a sudden it stopped.
It stopped. And so you see the decrease in targets. They went up for Darnell Mooney. They went up for Cole Kmet, which is part of it. Young players emerge. He had Justin Fields come in, and Justin Fields obviously was more comfortable throwing to Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney. So it's a layered conversation, to use a word I use a lot, layered, but the targets are certainly alarming. And if Allen Robinson feels that way, that's a problem.
What I would want... So there's a couple things here, though. What does he feel about Justin Fields? How much does he...
Believe
in him as much as he might have an issue with the coaching staff? Does he think that some of this... I mean, we talked about chemistry between those two all season. Is there a lack of chemistry? Like, that could answer the question right there. If A-Rob thinks there's a lack of chemistry with Justin Fields, bye-bye. Probably gone. But if he thinks that was more scheme-related and he was really sabotaged and really Justin Fields, they get along and they want to work together, Well, then the question, I would think he'd be with a new coaching staff. I don't know what his relationship, or if he has a relationship with Luke Getsy, or if there's been any contact there whatsoever. Don't know. But he may be open to making that work. Because I do think Allen Robinson likes Chicago. Like, I don't think he had any problem with being a Bear. But then it comes down to, how does Ryan Poles feel about the situation? Is he willing to pay him? What kind of money is Allen Robinson looking for at this point? Does he go a 1-year deal with somebody else to try to have another big season and hit free agency? Because there's no doubt he's not going to get what he could have gotten last year on the open market, which probably some of the bitterness here, I would think. It's completely fair. I'd be bitter too. But he's not going to get that this year after the season he just had.
Yeah, let's not forget, it did seem like negotiations or lack thereof took a bitter tone with Allen Robinson before last season. That's part of the conversation here too. I believe.
Yeah, it was like early on in the 2020 season when he, what was that whole thing that happened? There was like rumors he was asking for a trade, and remember that? It was like week 2.
It didn't go the way that he wanted.
Yeah.
Or the team wanted. So he has every right to be frustrated, and then the season played out the way it did. His coach didn't talk to him. A lot of things going on here. But if I'm Allen Robinson, I'm leaving. You may be high on Justin Fields. You may like his potential. But if I'm Allen Robinson and I'm thinking about my best interest, I'm going to go find an established quarterback who can get me the ball. Even if that takes a 1-year deal to get that next big deal.
One spot I will throw out there as an interesting fit, in my mind, New England. The Patriots. Now, that's not an established quarterback, but to me, it's a good place to go if you're looking for 1 year, kind of a rejuvenation of your career type situation. They need a wide receiver. You go be the guy there. Go be the dude. Just throwing it out there.
But I think he's gone.
Yeah, the original question. I think he's gone. I do not know at this point, though, with the changes they made, if that, like, the door was definitely slammed shut in December. Has it cracked open a little bit with the changes that have been made? Comes out of money. Don't know. Like, the Bears could keep him if they wanted to. Just,
but if you're Allen Robinson, you got to consider, well, the money's important, but the opportunity to get more money in a year or two.
Right. But could that be something the Bears are interested in? It's like, maybe they'd be the team that give him the 1-year deal.
Yeah, potentially.
They're not going to tag him again, but I don't know. That's an interesting thing for Ryan Poles right now, because it's probably in his best interest at this point to not go down a road of, like, maybe, figuring out what the market is. Probably want to make that decision now. Like, if you're really going to move on from him, just know that going into all.
Well, we're entering that period where such conversations are had. The combine's right around the corner.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else?
Nope.
That's it.
I mean, there's other questions, but some overlap. I don't have all day. Got to work
Really
out.
Good, Adam.
Yeah. Good job by you.
Thanks, man.
All right. Little Q&A for you. I'm out next week. Kevin's going to fill in, though. We'll have at least one episode for you.
We think.
Yeah, if he ever comes back. I'm worried about it right now. I haven't received a text since 9:15 or so.
Uh-oh. It's only been an hour.
Yeah, but that's, again, we talked about this the other day. Like, do we send out the search party? Are we worried? It's a tough loss.
Prolific texter, Kevin Fishbane.
Yo, he was sending me videos from the 1985 Brier, which is the Canadian National Championship.
Wow.
Last night.
He went down some different wormhole there, huh?
I'm like, what is happening right now?
I think Josh McCown did videos on this once. Oh, that was a different thing.
He's looking up, apparently there are Ken Palm ratings for curlers. He was looking those up. Good for him, man. I love it. I love it. We'll go curling sometime. We'll get video of it.
I just want to beat him now.
Oh yeah. Well, he hasn't even tried it, so I'm fascinated to see between you two which one. I think I put my money on you.
I'm guessing there's still some level of athleticism.
Oh
yeah. So I got that edge.
Yeah.
On Kevin Fishbane, and then
there's some flexibility involved too. Like you have to be able to
the bar game. There's a bar game aspect to this too.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you have good balance and do you have good hand-eye coordination?
I do.
Those are probably the two most important things.
I'm probably
rather than
talking myself up way too much, but I believe I do.
You don't necessarily need to need like elite athleticism. You need to be.
Well, just look at the guys that played curling in the Olympics. Yes.
Yeah, but like I know Matt Hamilton gets like made fun of. Watch his form though when he's throwing the rock. That dude is bending in ways I can't bend. So I would say balance and hand-eye coordination are the keys.
Okay. I'm in. I want to do it.
I think that's part of the reason why I don't want to say I'm good at it. I'm not, but I've been able to figure it out and do it relatively well because I've always had good hand-eye coordination for some reason. I think it goes back to my baseball days. So if you have that, I think you'll be all right.
I'm in. And if one of your curling friends wants to videotape us and mock us as did you call it throwing the rock?
Yeah, you throw the rock.
No, you slide it. But that's what they call it.
Yeah, but that's
fine.
not what they. That's
the lingo. I got it. Okay.
So
as
in America,
in
America they call it sweeping. In Canada, they sometimes call it sweeping, but they mostly call it brushing.
Sweeping's better.
Yeah, I think so.
Sweep it. Yeah.
Also, America's better. I mean,
of course.
To be honest, but
obviously.
Well, I guess we'll find out in the bronze medal game.
Third best.
Well, let me be clear. Canada way better at curling than the United States, like as a whole.
Like hockey.
In the Olympics recently, America's been better. But if we're going to talk about the whole thing, Canada's deep at curling.
I like that.
Anyway, who cares?
That's right. All right, we're out of here. Follow us on Twitter at Adam Hoge, at Adam Jahns. You can read me at NBCSportsChicago.com. That's where Bears Mock Draft 1.0 is up. Make sure you read it and then tweet at me about how none of the players will be where I say they are because everybody knows where they will be in middle of February before the combine even happens. Not the point of the exercise, people. Just read about the players and learn some things. Thank you. That's your annual disclaimer on the Bears Mock Draft.
Okay.
You guys got any out yet?
Yeah. Dane's done one. I have a story up right now. I talked to Bill Polian and Tony Dungy for extended periods of time. That story is up on The Athletic right now. Check it out.
Okay. TheAthletic.com/Hoge Jahns. It's where you go to get those stories. I think at this point, I'm the only one who hasn't talked to Bill Polian. I feel left out.
Get on it.
He seems very accessible.
Ask the Bears. They would know.
There was somebody else. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't know if the story was written or not yet. But somebody last week was like, "Yeah, I just got off the phone with Bill Polian for like 30 minutes." I was like, "Oh, okay." Bill's got nothing to do now that he's not hanging out with George McCaskey.
Give him a call.
He's just call him up and be like, "Hey, Bill, can we chat all day? I mean, Are you lonely? Are you okay? What's going on here?" He did Adam Schefter's podcast. For him. Maybe we need him to get him on the podcast. Maybe that's what we should have done today.
Yeah. So answering your questions.
Yeah. Anyway, theathletic.com/Hoge Jahns. A lot of good coverage there. And I am going to go read your story. So can't wait to check that out. YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button. Obviousshirts.com is where you go to get the merch, which we are wearing today. You can see that on YouTube. All right. I am off to a warmer, sunnier place.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy the fish, man, and all the curling talk next week. And then we'll be back together in Indianapolis, which I have to say, I am very excited about.
Same.
I've always enjoyed the Combine. I know you have always enjoyed the Combine, and we missed it last year. So, I also look forward to it being in Las Vegas in 2 years or Los Angeles, but
Also same.
but Indy's we love Indy too. So
pack your jacket, bring that hat.
And then
I think this year I'm just going to be like, enough with the walking. I'm just going to Uber.
Where, though? There's nowhere to Uber. We just walk.
There's some other off-the-track restaurants I think we need to try.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I'd be down for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm like, you just walk everywhere inside. You don't even have to go outside.
Oh, yeah. I don't even bring my jacket for, like, the day part.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, looking forward to that. We'll talk to you from Indy, but Johns and Fishbane will be back next week as I'm off, and we'll talk to you then. See ya.
The Packers, Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, go Bears.